right, we are back with Shane Hudnall with Cone Health Sports Medicine Center talking about staying safe in the heat. So we've been talking about like what the symptoms are of heat stroke and how to recognize it in yourself as well as other people. What about medications? How can they increase your risk of illness?
So there's a couple of different classes of medicines we think about. So blood pressure medicines very commonly are associated with an increased risk of heat illness. So you have some medicines like diuretics that the way that they work is they can increase your risk of dehydration, which is a major risk factor for heat illness. And then other ones like beta blockers. So if you're on carvedilol or metoprolol, those ones actually decrease your body's ability to sweat. And in a similar way, some allergy medicines like Sudafed and Benadryl, the same thing. We need the sweating to cool ourselves off in this heat, and those medicines can impair your ability to do that.
Okay, gotcha. That is good to know because I think those are very common things, especially, cold flu season, summer cold season, you're taking that Sudafed, that Benadryl. Besides medication, what other factors can raise your risk, like age, certain health conditions?
So heat illness is a lot more common in our younger kids and also over the age of 65. And the medical conditions you think about that have an increased risk are things like heart disease, someone that's had diabetes for a long time, obesity. If you have an illness that has a fever, that increases your risk of dehydration, you're at increased risk as well. So those are probably the most common ones that we see.
Okay. Now, what happens if someone actually has had heat stroke before? Are they more vulnerable to getting heat stroke again?
Yeah, and the common theme in sports medicine is what's the most common risk factor for having something? It's that you've had it before.
Right.
And heat illness and heat stroke is no different. So in one study, they found that there's a 3.3 times increased risk of you having heat stroke again in the next 2 years.
Okay, so if you're prone to heat stroke, is there something that you should be doing ahead of time if you know you're going to be going outside?
So all the good stuff. So try to minimize when you're outside between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., the hottest, sunniest times of the day. If you go outside, make sure that you hydrate, and then after that, then hydrate some more, and then maybe later hydrate again. You want to make sure that you're wearing light-colored, loose-fitting clothing with wicking technology would be great. Hats in the bright sunlight. Just be aware that if you're going to exercise outside in this heat, it takes you about 14 days of exercising in the heat to get acclimated to it. So you may want to start slow, or maybe instead of doing my 3 miles, I'll do 1 mile and kind of ease your way up every other day.
Okay, now I asked you for those of us who have had heat stroke before, what should we do? But are there other things to keep heat illness from sneaking up on you, even if you've never had heat stroke before?
So it's the same precautions. The one thing that I would add is, when you're outside, it's actually good to wear something where your arms and your legs are exposed. Because again, sweating is our body's best mechanism to dissipate that heat. So wearing something like a t-shirt and shorts ensures that we can give off that heat in this humidity, even when it's that bad outside.
All right, you keep saying the word hydration. When you say hydration, I think water. When you say hydration, my husband thinks Diet Mountain Dew. So let's talk about what we're talking about really for hydration.
Well, it's not Diet Mountain Dew. It's not a different diet soda. It is water. I mean, water is the most important. Now, if you're going to be outside for more than an hour, that's when you think maybe electrolytes, something with that, something with carbohydrates come into play. But other than that, water is our friend. That is your best bet, best go-to. Try to avoid things that have caffeine and alcohol because those may increase your risk of dehydration.
All right, and we've got like about a minute left. Final thoughts on staying safe in this summer heat.
So I think the best thing you can do is just know what we talked about, what the signs of heat illness are. Recognize that if you're getting a headache, if you're outside, dizzy, feel lightheaded, muscles are cramping, don't stick it out and stay outside. Because again, heat illness, heat stroke can occur just within 15 minutes. Go indoors, make sure that you're drinking plenty of water, get a fan on you, something. Stay cool as much as you can.
All right, we appreciate your time and your expertise. If you missed any of this, maybe you need to send it to someone. It's going to be in the to your well-being section of our website. We'll be right back.